Broadcasting from Studio 300 on Cal Poly's campus, you're watching Mustang News.
Good evening, Mustangs. Today is Tuesday, November 4th. I'm Olivia DeGennaro. Welcome to a special edition of Mustang News. We're going to have a special guest join us on the desk in just a moment, but first, the polls are open for today's midterm election, and about 1,500 students are registered voters because of an ASI campaign to get students to vote. According to fairvote.org, voter turnout rates for the midterm election are historically lower than in presidential elections. You can head to Shumash Auditorium tonight if you want to vote. Polls close at 9 p.m. Students can audition for a popular show on campus this year in 2 different languages. This is the 12th year the Gender Equity Center is producing the Vagina Monologues, but this year they're doing something new. They will also include a Spanish production of the show. Coordinator Tammy Velasquez hopes to encourage students by featuring shows in both languages. Math junior Jordan Brooker auditioned for this year's English version.
And I want to improve that, and I think this is my first step towards becoming as much of an outspoken feminist as I should be.
Auditions will be held through Wednesday at 6 p.m. in the Gender Equity Center and in UU 216. Well, Matt Elsasser is a junior at Cal Poly and juggles his classes with an interesting extreme sport. Kitesurfing combines the aspects of wakeboarding, windsurfing, paragliding, and gymnastics all into one extreme sport. Elsasser has many sponsors, including Thule, a Swedish company that produces products for active families, outdoor enthusiasts, and professional athletes. And he has a group of friends that go out and actively kitesurf on the Central Coast. We have Matt in the studio with us today to tell us a bit more about kitesurfing. So welcome, Matt.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Of course, it's our pleasure. So how long have you been doing this kitesurfing extreme sport?
I've been in the water, wakeboarding and surfing pretty much my entire life, and for about the last 8 years I've been a kite surfer.
Okay, and how did you get started? You say you've been in the water your whole life, but did you start kite surfing or?
Yeah, so when my mom was pregnant, she was actually windsurfing with my twin brother and I in the womb.
Oh my gosh.
So when I grew up, they were always windsurfing in Oregon, and eventually we saw kite surfing come, and I was on the beach watching them windsurf, and I saw them kite surf, and I was like, why are you windsurfing when you could do that? And a few years later, we had lessons, and we were out on the water.
So what's the difference between windsurfing and kitesurfing?
So they're both powered by the wind, obviously, and in the water. Kiting, you have a big kite in the air, so you can generate power from swooping the kite up and down, whereas windsurfing, you just have a sail locked onto a board, more like a sailboat.
Okay, so you were professional. When did you become a professional kite surfer?
I first got sponsored when I was in high school, and then by the time I got to college was when I first started getting paid and traveling around.
And this is your profession right now. How do you juggle that? You're a business major, so how do you juggle being a professional athlete and being a student?
My sponsors make it really easy for me to juggle it. I don't really put too much pressure on me, and we always try to make school come first. But the hardest thing is definitely turning down trips and things like, oh, you could go to the Marshall Islands, or you could stay and take this stats midterm. So that's the hardest part
rough.
For sure.
That definitely sounds rough. Okay, so if I want to go try kite surfing, I'm not sure if I'm brave enough, but if I do, what's the best way to get started?
The best way is to get a trainer kite, which is just a little 2-meter kite, and it won't be able to hurt you or pull you up into the air, but you can get a sense for how to fly a kite, and then from there you just need to sign up for lessons, and within a few days you should be up and riding.
Okay, and where do you go out on the Central Coast? Like, which beaches are your favorite ones?
Morro Bay is probably our favorite spot, but anywhere from as far south as Halama to Big Sur.
And what's next for you?
Next for me, I don't really know. I'm just going to graduate next year, hopefully, and just keep having as much fun as I can, and we'll see what happens from there.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us. And, you know, we kite surfing often involves the weather, so let's get into this week's weather. Today's high, 78 degrees. It is going to get hotter, unfortunately, for people who are enjoying that fall weather we saw over the weekend. Tonight's low, 54. Taking a look at Wednesday's weather, the high, 88 degrees, so just up to that 90, or just below that 90-degree mark. We are going to peak on Saturday with a high of 91 degrees. That's going to do it for today's Mustang News. You can tune into our weekly half-hour broadcast on Charter Channel 19 and Campus Channel 4.1. You can also find constant Cal Poly News on MustangNews.net. Thanks for stopping by.